Christianity came here with St. Mark from the Holy Land in the 1st century, and it flourished all over Egypt until the rise of Islam in the 7th century. Now, only 10% of Egyptians are Coptic Christian. There are many aspects to the service that I recognize, and many that are strange to me, especially the prostration in prayer that stems back to the earliest Christian practice. It was later adopted by Islam. I find it all strangely beguiling, almost mystical.
Earlier today, I was listening to Tariq Nasheed's show, and he was talking about some Coptic woman that basically was trolling him, saying that the Egyptians were white and that the original Egyptians were Coptic Christians. For one, even the Coptic Christians, I think she was trying to allude that the Coptic Christians are white. That's not true. I myself, being an Orthodox Christian, have been to Coptic churches many times. As a matter of fact, I was going to a Coptic church before I even started going to the Ethiopian one that I go to now. And the thing is, all the Coptic people that I know, they pretty much are a mix. And you can tell that they have African features. Some of them may look white, but many of them don't. Seriously. Definitely, Egyptian people are pretty much a reflection of the invasions that happened, from the Hyksos to the Greeks to the Romans and to the Arabs, and they pretty much all look like a mixture of everyone that invaded them. But it does not discount the African genes that they have. Many Coptic Christians do have African genes. They don't all look Caucasian, trust me. This is actually an icon. I don't know which saint this is, but if you look at him, it's obvious. A lot of Coptic people look like this cat. Shoot, looks like kind of like a Colin Kaepernick looking cat, right? And I have family members that have features like this. So, wow. I'll just say this. Especially with the way that Black Americans, many of us are also a mix of a bunch of different things, but we're black, So, anyway, let me move on and show you guys some more pictures. This is a group of Egyptians right here, a bunch of Coptic Christians right here. They don't look white to me. This is Saint Maurice, who's actually a saint in the Coptic Church. He, a lot of people don't know this. He was a Christian. He was an Egyptian Coptic Christian. And he was in the Thabian Legion. They were sent to quell a battle in Europe, somewhere in Europe. And, he's known as a saint. and a martyr because he would not worship, uh, the gods that the Romans wanted to have him worship. For all you guys that don't know, a lot of us Orthodox are not Rome, or are not of Rome, especially Ethiopian Orthodox. We were not established by Rome. And in the earliest Christians, especially in the first century, we were persecuted by Romans. So everyone's always talking about, oh, you have a Greco-Roman religion. No. I mean, this was before, like, pretty much Christianity became, in style. Like that's where us Orthodox come from. We come from that cloth. We were persecuted earlier on, in the first century. And I mean, it was like 3 centuries before it became, 3 or 4 centuries before it became anything accepted to be a Christian. Um, Anyways, these are some Coptic novice monks. They don't look white. You see them, they have the kufis on. And no, this is not the reason that I wear kufis. I've been wearing a kufi since before I even became Orthodox. But there's a lot of Orthodox Christians, mostly monks and priests, that wear them. It's not a requirement like it is in Islam. And there's a lot of, as the other video said, there's a lot of things that Islam pretty much adopted from a lot of the early Christians, especially Coptic Christians and Ethiopian Christians too. This is a Coptic monk. Now, if you look at this Coptic monk close, yeah, people might say, well, he looks Arab. But Arabians are a mix too, by the way. Like that's a whole nother subject. But I'm just showing this because I'm showing you guys how Coptic people look many different ways, and how specifically a lot of them still have a lot of the African features, even with all the admixtures that have happened over the last few centuries or whatever, or all the invasions that have happened. They still have a lot of the African genes that, you know, the black genes that are in their features. This man looks like he could be, from here, a light-skinned black man or a mixed biracial black man. He's a Coptic monk. He has very light skin, but he still has that nose that the wide nose and the features that many black Americans even have. This I've tried to really look into the history of this pick, but these are Coptic monks. I guess it was around. I don't guess. Actually, it says it was around the 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s. And these guys don't look white. Even look at their features. These are some Coptic Christians. They were wearing the turbans at the time. The only one that probably looks close to white is the older one sitting down. But most of these guys, these brothers look like, yeah, they look like they could be any Afro-American or Afro-Latino. Yeah, they don't look white at all. I mean, let me show you again. Yeah, the woman is misinformed. Yeah, Egyptians are a mix, even more so now than they were then. And the earliest Egyptians were black. I don't care what anyone says. They came from Tasseti, moved up, and basically created a kingdom. And a lot of Egyptians, a lot of Coptic Egyptians I know still have those features. Sorry. This says that these are Coptic monks as well. At least what I read. And there's a few different shades. You see the light skinned brother right here, the kind of near white looking guy in the center, and a more moreno looking dude like us, like a lot of black looking cats like us in America. Brother looks like Richie Havens, like. So yeah, Coptic Christians, you guys. I don't know the origins of this pic. That's what it said underneath the pic, so I chose it anyway. And this is a bunch of Coptic Christians. There's no way that you could deny the African ancestry in these people. It's obvious. Look at the crowd. Yeah, very obvious. And here's another, is the procession. Many Coptic Christians in a procession. They pretty much are a mixed group. That's what I'm saying. They are not totally white like that lady was saying. I don't care if she is a Coptic Christian or not. She's tripping. To deny, I don't know if she was a troll. No, she was a troll. But any Coptic Christian can tell you, hey, they're a mix. And they know that they have black African blood in them. I was talking to a priest that I know. His mom was saying that, the dad of the priest basically, he looks white, but his brother, from what she was telling me, is my color. He's black. So it's just that never goes away. Like our genes are very dominant. This woman right here looks like a friend of mine. The only difference is that my friend has blonde hair. She's a biracial woman, a biracial black woman. I'm specific with that. But this is an Egyptian woman. She's a Coptic Christian, and she looks like my friend. The only difference is my friend's hair is curly, and I think that this woman straightened her hair by the way it looks. I could be wrong, but yeah, my friend's hair is curly and it's blonde. Hers is dark, and she looks like my friend. You know, but she could pass as either a mixed biracial black woman or a black American woman. Period. A light-skinned black American woman. This is a Coptic a Coptic Christian woman. Now these two look more ambiguous, but you could still tell that there's some African features in their faces too. This woman right here. I know a girl that looks kind of similar to her. She looks like she could either be a light-skinned black American woman or a light-skinned Afro-Latina, But yeah, she's crossing herself. This is a priest, another kufi wearing priest. And look at his features. That he's not white. Definitely. And you can see that African, like there's got to be he has to have some African genes. It doesn't make any sense. Like just he has the blunt features, blessing people. Got that kufi on, but of course you see everyone in the film in the picture, some lighter skin, some olive, some darker, these are some Coptic Christians right here. Many of them get the tattoos because they have to identify themselves as Christians. I know Coptic friends that I have, they'll have it on their wrist. Some will have it in different places too, but definitely on their wrist they have to identify themselves because it's the way that goes on over there. The same woman right here just praying. That's how we pray. Like some people possibly in the temple do that, but you see a lot of Muslims do the same. But yeah, she looks like, she's not white. You can tell. She has some blunt features as well. And this is like, you could see the mix, like in this picture you have the priest who looks definitely white. The other guys, they look very ambiguous. But you have the two on the left, you can tell that they definitely have, black features, And this brother right here has coarse hair. So anyone telling me that Coptic Christians are white is ridiculous. They still have a lot of those African genes that are showing up. This guy looks just like a mixed biracial black dude too. He looks like the director of the movie Afropunk when he was a kid. James Spooner. He looks kind of like a light-skinned version of my cousin too. My cousin's just like my color, but imagine this guy as my color. That's how my cousin looks exactly like him. These kids. How could you not see, the African genes? Look at the hair. They're just a mix. A lot of these Egyptians. But to say that they're totally white is stupid. She was on something, or she probably wasn't even a Coptic Christian. Here's another one, or this woman. She could, I know black American women that look like her. You know, this little man right here on the side, just chilling. Got the mean face. You know, these people are a mix. They are not white. You know, they do have African genes, black African genes. I say black, I say African because for me, Africans, the indigenous Africans are black. You know, like the Egyptians pretty much like are a mix, you know. Yep, here's some other, you know, I mean, they have those features. Look at the nose, you know. I mean, shoot. Some black Americans, you know, even some biracial black Americans look like this and I guess regular black Americans. You know, I hate to say this because it's like a lot of black Americans are a mix, so it's almost like, okay, should I say first generation mix or not? It's man, I have to be really specific when I talk about this stuff because, you know, I know people are very sensitive about it too, and I'm trying to be. The African features on this young man's face is obvious. He is not Caucasian. You know, it makes no sense to deny that. You now in this picture you'll see two Caucasian looking kids and also two more melanated looking, you know, obviously they have black genes. These two kids on the left, you know. This is actually an icon of Yeshua, and it's in the Coptic Museum. Now, it looks more Byzantine than it does Coptic because of the eyes. The way that the eyes are drawn in the Coptic church are way different than any other icons when it comes to all Orthodox icons have a unique way of being drawn. But this looks more Byzantine, but it's in the Coptic Museum, and it's said to be one of the oldest depictions of Yeshua from what I've read in a few times where I've seen this picture. Here's another example, you know, of a fellahin, you know, traditional Coptic Christian. And again, he looks mixed. You know, he doesn't look like a white man, you know. Salim Faraji, this man right here, actually wrote a book called The Roots of Nubian Christianity Uncovered, The Triumph of the Last Pharaoh. He goes more into detail about Nubian Christianity, which has been a subject that hasn't really been written about a lot. And he, you know, I want to get this book. I've been wanting to get this book, but I've seen interviews with him and I talked to him online, you know, and he's been interviewed by everyone from Coptic, you know, news sources to Sonetta. One of the things that he said on Sonetta that was interesting, he said, you know, the Coptic language is the only way to translate the Met to Netter. When you think of the Coptic language, it goes back to, you know, the pharaohs and how they used to chant to the pharaohs. The Coptic liturgy even has the tones of what they used to chant to the pharaoh like. So that's the closest thing that anyone will get to Egyptian religious music, let alone their traditional language from back then. And of course, as I said, through a lot of invasions, the Egyptians basically are a mix, but they are, you know, descendants of, you know, the pharaonic Egyptians. You know, and I don't say that these are what they looked like back then. You know, I mean, obviously, I'd said it before. The beginnings of Egyptian civilization are black. You cannot get away from it. You know, I mean, it's from Tasseti, and then of course you had a lot of brothers come from Tasseti. Basically, was in where the Sudan or Nubia is, and they came up from there, and then they build into what is, Egypt. And basically, shoot, there are a lot of invasions that happen, and that's where you get the mix of people, and yeah. So when you think of Coptic Christians, you should never, how could I say this? They are definitely what some people might call the fixed mulatto group. They are not white. And from what some people are saying these days, they are not black. But at the same time, for me personally, I look at them, I look at the modern day Coptic Christians, I look at them as a mix. And it's the reason I'm doing this video is because of that woman that's denying the black roots of, Coptic people. I don't even know if she was actually a Coptic Christian. I'd like to see how she looks, especially if she's claiming that they are all Caucasians. It's the whole dark-skinned Caucasian myth, when it's obvious that they're not. They are basically like a mixed group of people. But they've carried the Pharaonic language. Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, a lot of people don't know about these Coptic Christians, and I think that woman that was trolling Tariq is giving a bad example of Coptic Christians. I myself, as I said before, I occasionally go to Coptic churches, and I have a lot of friends that are Coptic Christians. Anyways, see you in the comment section. Correction. I have 2 corrections that I need to make. For one, this man's name is Professor Salim Faraji. And yes, he is a professor at the University of Dominguez Hills. And he does an African Studies program, which he has people in his class make a trip to Africa. Yeah, just to let you guys know. And I have to emphasize that because he's doing a lot of great things for a lot of us in the diaspora, and also for getting the information out to the world about how great Africa is. Great person. Look up his name, Salim Faraji, Dr. Salim Faraji, Professor Dr. Salim Faraji. I had to emphasize that. I also wanted to make a specific correction because it may have been taken the wrong way. For the lay people like myself, kufis and head coverings are not required. If you're a priest or a monk or a novice monk, that's a different story. Just thought I would throw that in there. Peace. Have a great day. God bless.